So, a topic that uh, haven't really discussed on this channel before, but something that is sort of tangential to the discussions that I've had on this channel, talking about sort of like the aspects of like feminism that have like ruined our world to some degree. And that the topic that I want to cover here is discussing specifically transgender athletes in female sport. So let's talk about this. Um, this video, I'm gonna try to upload it to YouTube, but apparently YouTube is being really weird about this subject. So it may end up either getting removed from YouTube, may give me the first strike on YouTube that I've ever gotten. But I mean, I'm not gonna go into too hyperbolic of terms, talk about anything really specific. I mean, I'm a hyperbolic person, but I mean, generally speaking, what I'm gonna describe here is a pretty cut and dry of what we're talking about as far as that goes. But as far as female sports, women's sports, and the transgender athletes competing in the female or the women's sports here, um, competing with biological females. That's sort of the crux of the argument and what a lot of people are trying to ban and do all this kind of stuff, create legislation and all this kind of stuff. And I really do think that it is it's not going to create the necessary change that they think it will, because all you have to do, and this is based under how our civil law or our law would allow you to do, is they can guise it under Title IX or the Civil Rights Act, and they can immediately get all of this legislation that you're writing to be sort of expunged. So a lot of those things, it hinges on like Title IX. If you can get Title IX repealed, now that's a different story. But then there would be other questions, but people don't want to answer these uncomfortable questions, and this is why I'm saying I don't have a horse in this race. I don't have a daughter. I have two sons, and I know that they're gonna be negatively affected by the current situation, which is Title IX and all this kind of stuff. I was affected personally by the Title IX stuff. When I was going through high school, they would literally take money from our boys basketball program to give it to the girls basketball program because of the fact that we had to subsidize the girls basketball program, even though technically the boys sports were more popular, like they were more profitable for the school. So even though that was the case, they would fund the girls sports or the women's sports, instead of trying to get them to raise their own money and do their own thing or whatever. It was the boys have to subsidize the girls and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, that's how Title IX works, how it functions in action. People might say, well, they just wanted to blah, blah, blah. Well, when we don't get funding and they get a brand new softball stadium, I mean, it's just as unfair. It's just in the opposite direction. Like, you just changed the targets. You didn't. It's still unfair. Like, oh well, that boys had it so fair for so long, so now blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. Anyway, long story short, that's how Title IX affects men or boy sports, like in that way. Huge negative impact. And so when I see these people complaining about girls competing, like transgenders competing in girls sports or whatever, I can't be bothered to care. I can't, because in all the ways that women have just allowed this to all these things to happen to men along the way, to boys along the way that didn't care. They don't care until it actually affects them, and even then, they don't really care. They just want to, I guess, gain back some like prestige or something. I don't know what it is. Anyway, it's always from the sort of narcissistic perspective when it comes to that kind of topic. It's always me, 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 me. And that's why I think that this topic is a complete and utter, like, it's going to be a disaster. It's a psyop. It's all these things that you would think it would be. It's going to destroy any credibility that you have. Realistically, the best option here is to completely ignore it. Let them reap their so your you get your just desserts. You feminists asked it for this. You women asked for this kind of stuff. You want to destroy men. You want to destroy them and make them so that they feel that they have to become women, and then now they can compete in women's sports. So now, when you've destroyed all these men, now they become women. Now they compete against you in your sports. Now you're concerned, right? You weren't concerned about destroying the men and making them feel that they needed to change, because that's a lot of what this is. If we're being honest, a lot of the boys becoming girls thing, in particular. Now, I don't know about the girls becoming boys. That one's a little bit weirder to me, and that's a different. I don't know what that is. What's going on there? But boys becoming girls makes a lot of sense when you look at this, the way society's structured, and how, if you are a female, how you're privileged and how you have all kinds of special attributes added, things that you can get access to that boys or guys can't. Like, so I mean, these guys, they don't have to worry, like, these girl, like, if you become a girl, you're gonna get the benefit of, like, all the Title IX protections. You're gonna get all the get all these kind of these things that are gonna basically protect you and shield you from all of society, because we've decided that instead of allowing men to be sort of the protectors and be the ones that do the shielding in society on their own, now, like, state involvement and all this kind of stuff is going to be involved, and, like, try to distribute everything evenly for men and women and do all this equal stuff. So now equality, right? We've achieved peak equality, and after we've achieved peak equality, this is the resulting. These are the results of your consequences of your actions. So now that you wanted your equality, you wanted to be equal to men, you wanted to be able to deal with men, the same as women, right? Like, you wanted to be on equal footing, men and women the same, right? Well, now you can compete in sports against men the same way, and even even if you say, well, I'm a woman and I didn't sign up for that, I didn't ask for that. Well, you did, but you didn't know that you did, because you're implicitly allowing all this. You're going along with it to get along, and you're doing all these kind of things to enable it, and causing men to enable it as well. And there may be a few exceptions. I mean, there may be a few people who have been staunchly against this, and actually, I don't know. There may be exceptions to the rule, I'm saying, but generally speaking, women have aided and abetted in all of this nonsense that we're seeing here with this transgender in female sports, in women's sports, and that's that's why I can't be bothered to care. It's to me, I've stated it before, and I think I believe it. It's two rival gangs. They're the feminists, and they're the fourth. There's like the third wave and fourth wave feminists right now. Like, they're going at it. Like, women who want to be, oh, look, champion women. I want to be a star for girls, and people are championing this person, like like these like Riley Gaines or whatever. They're championing these kind of people and pushing them to the front, and putting them on a pedestal and in a spotlight. And even though their career may be done or whatever, of competing, but now my daughter wants to be like Riley Gaines, because now she's trying to fight the transgender being in our women's sports. It's just going. It's literally just trying to say, hey, we got too much feminism. So now let's go back one stage of feminism. That's all this is. And once you realize that, once you open your eyes up to it and you perceive it for what it is, then you become aware and you realize, hey, I'm not gonna just simp because women. Uh, that's the worst part. The worst part of even the like right wing side of politics or whatever, is that they will simp the hardest for the people who will do the most damage. There's Riley Gaines. I guarantee you, she's going to be this whole like woman figure, and she's going to want to be. I mean, like people like Tommy Lahr and all these women who get put in these roles that are like massive commentary and get speaking events and all this kind of stuff, and want to talk about, oh yeah, I'm championing women, and but I still want to be a conservative thing. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's not at all what you want. What you want is an army of simps, so that way you can make money. And it's they don't care about even about the women's sports. They don't care about anything. I mean, they might care about the women's sports because of out of a like a protectionist, like, hey, women can only be in women's sports because that's how we're able to have our cake and eat it too, right? Like we can play sports like men, but we don't have to compete against men. And honestly, I think that just getting a little taste of that and having all these women being decimated by men in competition that are like being decimated by the transgender athletes that are competing against them. I think it's just desserts. You're getting what you wanted. Like you wanted to be equal. You wanted all this. Don't lie. All of you did. And so now they're gonna reap their just rewards of just like dealing with this the transgender um competing in their sports. And I think that's what am I gonna do? Like you can't pass any new legislation. You can't do anything else that's gonna be able to be effective or have any teeth, because you've already enabled the worst of the feminist movement with Title IX and all this kind of stuff, because they can just pull that out like at a drop of a hat. They can either say it's a civil rights issue, or they can say that it's a Title IX issue, and either way, they're going to win. So you just got to hold this L, like, because that's what the courts are going to say, probably, most likely. Like, I mean, unless you just happen to have a conservative activist judge, which we do not have any. There are no conservative activist judges. So all that you're going to get is some reinforcing of Title IX and reinforcing of civil rights as law. So I mean, what are you gonna do? So I say just let it play out, let it be, let them reap what they've sown. They've sown this for decades, destroying and dismantling men and absolutely decimating everything about men and boys. And whenever men and boys decided to opt out of being men and boys, then now they have to deal with the fallout, the blowback of that situation. There's no incentive to be a man in today's society. There is zero incentive. Absolutely zero incentive to be a man in today's society. And that's why you're seeing a lot of this movement take hold. But that's all I have on this. I just wanted to introduce a little bit of a different perspective. I know that a lot of people are either they're just e-simps, they're just going to simp for every single girl who comes out and says, or every single woman who says, I'm going to champion women's sports. I'm gonna be, and they don't realize that, okay, these are the same people. Like these were your enemies yesterday, and they'll be your enemies tomorrow. The only difference is y'all have a common enemy. Like, so just think about that. Consider what when you think about these things, and this is something that I've at a point of maturity that I've started to realize is what has been the result of what is this? What are you going to be able to do to impact and fix the situation? And what is the cause of the current crisis? Like we're in a lot of crises at this point in time, and you have to figure out what is the root cause of these crises. And a lot of the root cause of this crisis in particular has been feminism and Title IX. And all that they're advocating for, all that these advocates are doing, is trying to go back to another level of feminism and continuing to keep Title IX. So that is the crux of what I'm saying here. Just contemplate on these things and think them through before you just say, well, yeah, we need to protect women. No, like, they're trying to manipulate you based off of emotional, because, oh, well, what if that was my daughter? Yeah. What if that was my daughter? I would tell her, well, you can't play those sports. Find another sport. Uh, I don't know. Like, there's got to be some other way to handle it. You can't just go this sort of like legal route, because they've already beaten you to the punch in regards to this, unless you really want to test the waters and you really want to do something uh, that's difficult, that's hard. That's all I have on this. Just a sort of little short video. I just wanted to chat about this kind of stuff. I see a lot of people talking about it online, and I don't think that everybody's getting the full picture of the view and not thinking critically about what they're supporting. So hopefully you get something out of this. If you did like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, links in the description for everywhere else that I'm at. Yeah, it's just funny to see all these people on Twitter and how they act. But that's how it is. Just keep going another day, and keep being you. This is Trey from Trey's Think Tank. Sign out.